These
That's
people
funny.
must be good at public speak, bro. I've never, I, I don't understand that. Like for me, it was just like I just spoke a lot. I was just like active.
Mhm.
I just kind of like I don't know. I get good at it, quote unquote. But I don't know. So I'm gonna give people time to get a lot of info. Sadie, don't talk to him about being chill, bro. You're out of pocket, bro. You're you're not, like
In the right time, in front of the right people, I could be out of pocket. I'm not gonna lie.
all right. Well, for the people here right now, you can attend the lecture, bro. As long as you're taking notes, which I hope you got your notebook out. Like I honestly want you to take out
Yeah,
a
Luther,
notebook or
I'm
something.
talking. Hold on. Luther said he can't hear me. You can hear me, right? Can
Yeah, I can
everyone
hear
hear
you.
me? Can you guys? So Adonis, that message if you guys can hear me. I just want to make sure because I don't want people to I don't want people to be like, "Oh my gosh." Like I can't
Working
hear
out while
him.
listening, that's crazy. Uh,
Yeah.
like I want to keep it hour 30 maybe.
Yeah, probably around there. 100%. Not gonna do too much.
All right,
Yes,
it's good.
yes.
Okay, so hold up.
Uh,
Before I start though, before I start, right? I want everyone to like say in chat, what's the reason why you're here? Like what's the biggest problem you've had with studying
mm,
or something that you're struggling maybe it's school, maybe you just hate school and that's, you know, maybe procrastination, maybe bad
mm,
grades, maybe
mm.
you want to know how to study better, but just like
To
I want to
study.
see the answers rolling.
He said to study.
Ah, damn.
No, yeah, I'm gonna hit. I'm gonna hit. Do you want to like try to do it like or do you want to hit something and then I can add to it? I can hit something, you
Oh,
add
we
to it.
code, bro. Whatever you
We
want.
could it.
Like,
I
yeah,
feel like
we
we'll be
code.
fine. Girls, bro, this ain't this ain't what you think it is.
Girls,
It's not
bro.
about girls, man.
No, what?
Come on, like we.
Bro, last thing you need is you're studying with like a girl, bro, and you get like just no, 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 no.
No, you can do it. It's
You
100%
can, you can
possible.
do
You
it.
just gotta the focus on what you need to focus on. Um,
So I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna start from like the top, just cause I know that most of the
mhm,
stuff that I'm gonna be talking about will cover this. I just want to read it out. A lot of people said procrastination, and I'll talk about procrastination because I don't think some people don't understand what procrastination is. They're just like, oh, I'm just being lazy, right? But
mm,
there's a lot of truth to it and a lot of different way of looking at it. And
okay,
when you look at it like that,
sure.
then it just makes it be like, wow, like that's deep. Like that's deep, you know what I mean?
I
I
think
go
I'm gonna
first.
bring it into the air how procrastination is not just with studying. Procrastination is a life thing. So like I think that at the end of the day it's like you can want to just like Hamza says when it comes to working out, like, do the hard work even when you don't feel like it. If you rely on motivation or intensity to get you through studying or some people are procrastinating by watching this lecture. Uh, I feel like, yeah, studying when you don't feel like it, like that's. I feel like it goes in hand. Like you're doing it for the long term. You're not doing it for the short term, you know, benefits. You're doing it for the end goal, right? So I know, Luther. I know.
Yeah, like
I
school.
don't know about that.
Yeah, like to be honest, school can be looked at different ways, right? You can look at school as like fuck school. I hate this shit. Or you can be like, this is the greatest gift I've ever gotten. Like you got to think about it, right? How many people don't even have education? Like obviously, right? A lot of us, have get to go to a school. We get that opportunity. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
we complain about it all the time, but then we forget about the simple. We get to go to school. We get to make friends. We get a community, even if it's not the best, right? And remember, education is not just school, right? School is going to be a whole, it's just a place. It's just another opportunity. Yeah, the system is outdated, absolutely. But you can use it. You can use the system to your advantage.
Okay,
You
okay.
can use all of it.
Let's start the lecture. We have 200 in. Let's
All
start
right.
the
You
lecture.
have you got the PDF.
It's open. Yeah. So, I'll introduce myself because I don't want to introduce your intro.
Yeah,
My
yeah, you
name
show.
is Mr. Dr. Professor John, otherwise known as John. I am a first year resident physician out in Los Angeles. I have studied a majority of my life. I didn't know how to study till probably sophomore year of college or second year of uni. I didn't study at all in high school or grade school, as you'd call it in the UK. I graduated with like a three, just over a 3.0 GPA from high school. Then, college, I graduated with a 3.8. And yeah, it just was up since there. I just had to figure it out. And a lot of the time it was trial and error for myself. I went through the Pomodoro technique, the Freiman technique. I tried all these different techniques that kind of, I found like a little sweet spot of everything. Um, and yeah, I would say that before we continue, I want to thank you guys. How many years of studying? How old are you now? 26. Yeah, I know I'm old. I would say about a good 8 years of effective studying. And I'm still going. I have another board exam here in July, so last one for a while. But yeah, so I want to thank you all for coming out here, joining one of my many lectures. No. MD, medical doctor. Um, but yeah, thank you guys so much. I do appreciate you guys, and I'll let Aiden introduce himself.
Yo, yo, yo. As Sadie said, thank you first of all so fucking much. Right, you took action today to join here, even if you're kind of low key procrastinating right now and be like, oh no, I'll learn something from this. I'll learn something from this. It's okay, right? Like, I appreciate the fact that you took action for you because that's a step forward. That's progress right there. That's improvement. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Aiden. I am currently 17 years old. I go to high school. I'm a junior. And for the past, I guess most of my school years, I literally hated school. I fucking hated school. Like, I'd procrastinate the shit out of it. I would do everything to the last minute. I would literally sometimes wake up at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. to do assignments, or I'd be up until like 3 a.m. finishing an essay, writing it out. I'd do that. And I'd complain and complain and complain. I'd hate the teachers. I hate the experience. I'd hate the lunch. I hate everything. And then I'd have these horrible friends around me, horrible people. People now I can't even call friends, you know what I mean? That really changes you, right? With the people you surround yourself with. So that's how it was for a lot of school. And sophomore year was COVID, right? Or grade 10 was just COVID. And it was when you were stuck at home, you couldn't do shit. You couldn't do shit, right? Studying got to the point where you literally just cheated on everything. Most people did, right? Or most people were just so done and so sick of, actually making an effort. But after junior year hit, when I came back to school, I was like, God damn. I was taking for granted everything I had. I never thought to thank my teacher for dealing with me. I never thought to even thank my teacher for being nice to me, for answering my questions. I never even thought of just being thankful that I get to go to school. Because when you think of that, that's like, God, it feels so much more powerful. It feels so much more powerful. So, what I was able to do is take gratitude, take what I've learned from self improvement, from my experiences, and put it into school, put it into my relationships, put it and connect with others. And from that, I was able to significantly eliminate procrastination. I was able to enjoy and actually love school. I enjoy going to school. Yeah, there's some days maybe I'm like, I don't know. But I snap myself out of it and I go. And I'm here to hopefully help you look at school differently and help you figure out that studying is not all this this big complicated shit that it really, might seem to be. So I guess that's my little long introduction. Right? So
Yeah, and I think by the end of this, we want to make sure that you guys all feel the same way that, I mean, studying school, it's not for everybody. It really isn't. You don't have to go to school to be happy, be successful. But if you are looking for something like going to be a physician, going to be a lawyer, going to be any one of the, doctoral things. You have to go through some sort of 4-year undergraduate degree, maybe a post-bac program, a master's, or and maybe a PhD. But yeah, you do not. We're gonna let you guys know you don't need to. Yeah, just like Ryan said, you don't need to go to school to be educated. You know what I'm saying? So, um, this is just for people that are wanting to learn how to study, and not even learn how to, but just to strengthen what they already have or what they already know, and go from there. But yeah, so I would say I was in the same boat as Aiden. I kind of put stuff off to the last second, especially when it came to due dates. I was always procrastinating, saying I have time, I have time, I have time, and the next thing you know, it's 8 p.m. and I have something due at 11:59 p.m. And I was scrambling to try to cram. And cramming is one of the worst things you can do because yes, you'll remember things in your short-term memory, but when it comes to your long-term memory, it's not going to be as efficient when you need to retain things for later on. So the whole point of spaced repetition, which we'll get into, especially myself, when I used Anki. Anki is the god tier of spaced repetition as well as a studying program. But yeah, so the first thing we're probably going to hit is, um, you know, which study methods did each of us use to get to where we are? For me, I went through again many different types of study techniques. I found for me Pomodoro worked the best, where I did 25 minutes of intense studying. And when I say intense, I mean just like Luther did when he turned his TV around. That's a bit excessive. I don't really have a TV around me, but I would put my phone at least like 10 feet away from me, put it on silent or do not disturb, and always just focus on what I need to focus on, right? And when it comes to note taking, right? I think it's not bad to take notes, but later down in the road when you are in a higher level, higher curriculum level study, taking notes is time consuming, and time is not what you have. Time is not on your side, right? So you need to either take notes, but take notes with high yield, right? So there's high yield content and low yield content. So high yield content is usually the things that are, in your textbooks that are bolded, highlighted, definitions or, pictures that you see in your anatomy book, things like that. And then lower yield would be the things that are in between the paragraphs. They usually say the first sentence and the last sentence of a paragraph are the most important, and anything in the middle is more lower yield, right? It's kind of just describing it. So I would say for myself, Pomodoro using Anki, Online MetaEd, Boards and Beyond, Pathoma, just all those different types of, there was like Sketch Farm, Sketch Anatomy, all these different types of things. Sketch is a very cool thing, especially for the medical field. It kind of makes all these topics, which I'm going to tell you guys in our biochemistry lecture I'm doing next week, that it basically makes it into a cartoon, almost like an anime, and they kind of just describe it to you like that. And for me, I'm a visual learner, so it helps. You have to find out what type of learner you are. I'm going to link a test that you guys can take to find out what type of learner you are. It's not like the best one, of course, but at least it's something. And by then, you'll figure out what type of learner you are and where to go from there. But yeah, Aiden.
I shall. All right. Well, yes, with Pomodoro, I also resonated strongly. There's also something else I'm going to talk about, which it's called the study lamp, and that's like one of the best things I've used so far. But with Pomodoro, right, 25 minutes, really, really just fully studying, like putting all your effort, all your energy, all your focus on that. No distractions, no bullshit. And then after that 25-minute session, 5-minute break. Give yourself a time to relax, recharge, and then go back at it again for 25 minutes. So think about it like this: if you studied if you had to study for 6 hours, which first of all, most people can't study 6 hours. That's just crap. No one can study without like hating themselves and burning out and being like, I'm sick of this. But when you give yourself time to recharge and take a break and kind of put energy and then relax, take a second, breathe, go back into it, then what that starts to do is it creates a pattern, creates a good pattern where you're putting in the energy, you're getting the work done, right? Whereas normally maybe you're on your phone, you got your phone on, notifications on, maybe you got some like, I don't know, you jamming to music or something. Don't get me wrong, music's good, but if you want full focus, full focus, right? You want nothing standing in your way. So for me, Pomodoro's work, deep work is similar to Pomodoro in where it's just a full session of just no distracted work. Oh, for the breaks, for like the 5 minute break, for example, um, literally walk, just walk around, go outside, take a walk, bro. Just take a walk for 5 minutes. Like, go take a walk. That's it. You could
I'll for my
go for it.
5 minute breaks, input real quick. For my 5 minute breaks, I have like an Apple Watch and I have like a breathe app, and I do like a breathing session that's about 3 minutes. So I usually like I kind of just want to whatever I was studying, kind of just like I want to make sure I alleviate that from my mind, just to make sure it gives my mind time to recharge because honestly, like you can control how you study, right? So you can control how much you retain and how much you actually um, keep in your long-term memory as well as your cognitive memory, right? So when you were not he was deafened, if you were not just fat, come on, man. If you were studying for like 8 hours straight, right? I've had days where I've studied a total of like 9 or 10 hours, but I had a break of like an hour and a half in total. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. If if you really want to retain information, especially like high and especially low yield content, I would say it's all between deep studying and focusing on what you're doing and repetition, right? Um, so you should understand, like with deep studying, it's not like, okay, your head's just focused on whatever you're studying, this and this. Like you should be getting in the zone to study, right? Um, you should honestly know what you're studying, have a good grip of what you're going to be studying. Like what I do when I study is I always skim, right? I skim, I look for the high yield stuff, I look at pictures, I look at quotes, definitions, whatever it may be. Um, so when I say high yield or low yield content, so let's say for high yield content, so yeah, Aiden, that's a great thing for um, space repetition. But for high yield, I would say like that's a great. mm.
You want me
So
to
a
bounce
good high
off?
yield. So how many chambers does the heart have? Does anyone know off the top of their head? Okay,
What?
good.
How does
Wow.
everyone know this but me?
It's
What?
there's two upper and two lower, so that would be high yield content. So the lower yield content would be what are they? What do each of them do? Where do each of them go to? You know what I'm saying? Which ones are where does it lead to the veins, the arteries? You know what I'm saying? So biology lads, school full of. But yeah, so there are four chambers, right? So you have the left atrium, the right atrium, the left ventricle, and the right ventricle, just to simplify it, right? Um, so yeah, when you go into this, right? That's the high yield, right? That's those are the four big chambers of the heart, right? But then you can go into the valves, right? The tricuspid, the mitral. You can go into the aorta, the ascending aorta, the pulmonary, the valve. Like you can go into all that. That's lower yield, right? It's the more specific you get into something, that is the lower yield, right? It's going to be a lot harder to retain, a lot harder to remember. It's easy to remember something like, oh, there's only four chambers, right? But it's very hard to remember, okay, how many nodes are there and what are the nodes called, right? And then what does each of the nodes do in the heart? You know what I'm saying? So for me, I hated cardiology. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot. It's very it's very complex. But yeah, like the difference between high yield and low yield is just how in depth you go, right? So don't think like, oh, low yield content is not important. It's actually the most important, but it's the hardest to remember. High yield is easy to remember because it's kind of like the broad general idea of what you're trying to study and what content you need, right? So yeah.
All right, and that gave me that gave me a stroke for a sec. But no, he's absolutely right. So with all that information, right, everything you're studying, you got to think about why are you studying in the first place? Like, why are you sitting down, taking time out of your day to study? Why are you putting that effort in? What's the goal, right? Do you want to, do better in school? Do you just want better grades? You want to make sure to relieve any anxiety and just be like, you know what, I studied, I did good. I'm confident. Right? Does studying give you clarity? Does it give you certainty? Do you feel like, maybe for example, you want to learn Spanish? Like I'm learning Spanish right now, and I study and I learn. I don't do it. I don't do it because like, oh, you should study everything. Everything you should study. No, I study because I want to. Because I want to. Right? It's your personal purpose and drive and beliefs that will push you to study. When you may be thinking, hey, I don't really feel like doing this assignment right now. And then you think in the back of your head, well, what happens when I don't do this assignment? Right? What happens when I don't do this assignment? Well, first of all, my mom's gonna whip my ass, as people are saying in chat. My Asian moms, bro, we get it, right? And that feeling of just like pain, pain when like you're like, wow, I feel guilty as fuck right now. I'm not doing it. I'm going to do something else. Damn, I could be doing my assignment right now, but I'm scrolling on my phone looking at. And when you remember that, instead of guilt tripping yourself and making yourself feel bad, you're just like, well, guess what? I can just start. I can just literally, what I do is I snap my fingers and then I just get to work. Think of it like giving yourself a signal to get to work. Where it's like, you know what? You need to study. What's your signal? You're like, when I need to remind myself to study, I'm gonna do this. Maybe you do some like weird gang sign or something, or maybe you listen to a certain song, whatever it might be. Remember why you want to study, because there's no point in studying and putting in all this hard work if you're just not gonna do anything with it, right? If you're just forcing yourself or someone's forcing you, right, then that's that. What are you talking about, syntax? But anyways, also think about, right, because John was talking about goddamn fucking biology and heart valves. What are you studying? Be specific with what you want to study. Prepare, right? If you want actual results, then you got to know what the hell you're doing, right? Focused action, intent will set the precedent for you. And then,
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, like, what I was taught, 20 minutes of action is worth more than 2 days of procrastination. You can sit there and worry about everything, right? For myself, like it was, man, I have to study 1,000 Anki cards today. Like, damn,
bars.
1,000 cards, that's gonna take me like 3, 4 hours, right? But when you break it down, so that we're gonna go into the actual intro, right? When you're going into studying, you should break it down into something smaller, right? Something that is more attainable. Just like when you're working out, your goal is to be 6% body fat, which a little bit is too low. Let's say 8% body fat. You want to be able to bench 100 kilograms, which is 225 pounds. You want to be able to squat, 315 pounds or like 150 kilos. But what I'm saying is, like, if you look at it from the bigger picture, it's going to look a lot harder. It's going to look a lot bigger. It's going to look a lot unobtainable. But when you break it down, you're like, well, I want to progressively overload, 2 to 5 kilos every 2 weeks or every week, right? If you break it down into something smaller, which is more attainable, just like for myself, like 20 minutes of action is worth more than 2 days of procrastination. I always used to tell myself that. So, like, when I would sit there and be like, oh, like, especially when I was in undergrad, like, I'd be like, oh my God, like, I really don't want to read this. I don't want to do nomenclature. I don't want to do any, OChem, whatever, biochem, gen chem, physics, anything. Like I didn't want to do it, right? But the thing is like once you start doing it, when you do 20 minutes of actual like busy work, you're going to get a lot more done than you think, right? So for myself, when I would do Pomodoro, that's when I started doing Pomodoro. I started with doing it was really bad. I did 15 and 5, right? 15 minutes of of like intense studying and then 5. I'd set an alarm, right? Or like a timer. Then I went from 15 to 20, then 20 to 25, then 25 to 30. I've gotten to a point where I can do 50 minutes, 50 in 10 minutes, right? So you have to build up. Like it's just like, I mean, Victory can tell you, like, you're not going to start by running a marathon, right? You're going to start by running a mile. It might even be it might kill you at the end of the day, right? But like at the end of the day, it's you have to build up. You can't just want to just run the marathon. You can't just want
Facts,
to,
right?
have that instant gratification. You can't just want to just do it, right? Because you're going to fail more often than you can. The whole point is man, not why is this lecture I'm not doing a lecture on what you guys are doing wrong. I'm trying to help you guys is cuz I messed up when I was in undergrad. I messed up when I was younger, and I feel like for myself I don't want you guys to go through the same thing, right? So you have to understand, like, I was in that position where you got automatically Jeffrey. That's terrible. What I was saying is, um, yeah, you want to be able to not only build and have like a strong foundation when it comes to studying, but you want to make it a lifestyle. Just like when you work out. I mean, you can tie this into anything, but I like putting it into with working out, right? you need to make it a lifestyle. You can't just want to have instant gratification or work out for a few months to achieve like the goal you have and then stop, right? Um, but yeah, like yo, chill, Aiden. but but yeah, so what I'm saying, guys, is like when it comes to studying, you want to create your study area, right? So for me, I try not to have anything other than like for me it was my monitors and then whatever book, whatever class I was doing, right? Um, so how do I keep energy after a 90-minute session? So two 90-minute sessions. Try to break it down with 25 minutes of studying and a 5-minute break. So you'll be 25 and 5, 25 and 5, 25 and 5, 25 and 5. So what you don't realize is that you literally just took in like two 90-minute sessions and created 25 minutes of studying from it, right? I mean, 25 minutes of break. You didn't realize it, right? So the thing is, when you break it into like smaller portions, instead of doing two 90 minutes straight, you're gonna hate it, right? But when you break it down and you give yourself a break to not only study, but to just go down, go get something to get a snack, like eat some almonds, drink some water. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, like at the end of the day, like let me get back to creating the study area, right? So you want to perform well, not only in studying but in class. Like you want to make sure your area is clean, right? So for me, I have like a pretty long desk. I have two monitors. This is right now. This is what I'm doing. Two monitors, my mouse, my keyboard, and then I have a notepad right to my left, and I have pens off to my right. I try to keep it as clean as possible just because not only am I an organized person, I don't like to be scrambling around trying to get things or find things, right? I have my iPad off to the left. I have my another laptop off to my right, just in case, right? So, I like having a lot of monitors because I can do many different things, right? So for me, I would never want to study in a bedroom, even if your desk is in your bedroom. For me, when I lived at university and I had a dorm, when I was living in the dormitories, I had my bed and my desk were in the same room. That's just how it is. So for me, I had to go to the library to study, or I'd have to go to the open labs to do what I need to do, right? And for me, I wouldn't do it somewhere where like it's like a community area or like a living room in your house. Like try to go to a place that's a quiet area that you know doesn't have any distractions. You can easily close yourself off and just deep study, right? Um, can you break down how to make efficient flashcards? I'll talk about what flashcards work for me. I didn't use flashcards. I used Anki, which is spaced repetition, but I'll get into that. Um, for myself, it depends on how late you're studying. I used to stay up to I used to pull all nighter sometime and crammed for exams, which I do not recommend. Again, you're not going to remember that stuff long term. You're going to end up cramming, and it's going to be an endless cycle of cramming, right? So for me, what I did is I would never study past 10 p.m. and sometimes I'd push it to 11 p.m. Because for me, I'm a morning person, right? Either you're a morning or you're a night. You're a night owl or you're a morning person. So for me, I was a morning person. So if I was studying past 11 p.m., I knew for a fact I was not going to retain it long term, right? There were some special cases where I had to study and I had to pull an all-nighter to study for an exam, right? Yeah, so right now Aiden is recording this lecture, guys, so
Yes.
please
Yeah, I want to.
stop it.
Yeah, no, no,
go
it's
go
all
ahead,
good.
Aiden, go ahead.
I'm gonna add on quickly and just say with the study area, right? If you are laying in your bed and you are using your laptop and trying to study, bro, what is the bed for? The bed is for fucking bitches,
Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa,
sleeping,
whoa.
and that's it. The bed is not for studying and learning, my guy. You know what I mean? Like I know that was a little bit too much, a
Well,
little
no,
bit too
no,
much,
no.
but no,
I
but like
understand.
think
Like
about it, right? Right?
the
Because
bedroom is not a place of business. It's a place for pleasure and it's a place for resting, right?
exactly,
So
exactly, right. So if you want to actually study, right, why would you go to the living room? The living room is for entertainment and living, bro. Right? So if you have for example, study desk, if you have a desk that's literally solely for studying, like when you go there, you're reading a book or you're working on an assignment, that's where you go. Only there. Only there. Right? Maybe like let's say you have an apartment or something, right? Literally get a box or get a desk, put it in the corner, and that's your study area. Right? Because if you're trying to do work in a place where there's so many distractions where you cannot focus, then it's not going to work. You're setting yourself up for failure. So, for example, you can go to a cafe or you can go to a library. That's why people do that because everyone's quiet, everyone's studying, and it creates that environment where it's like, damn, everyone's working their ass off. Well, I'm gonna get some work done too, right? So,
absolutely, absolutely.
and a big thing that you talked about a little bit, right? Distractions. Right? And Luther pulled it up, which is if Luther's still here, if he can repost what he did, that would just be really funny.
Be
But
funny. Um,
with
but I,
having your phone as a
go ahead.
distraction TV, it just literally it kills your focus. It kills your concentration. You know what I mean? And that
Anything that
doesn't do anything.
distracts you honestly will kill your concentration. So I feel like even if you have, it could be your phone, it could be a TV, it can honestly even be like, for me, even if I had like, I mean, I have ADHD, so like if I have something that's like easily obtainable, like right now I'm clicking on a pen right now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not 100%, into it, but like that's the thing. It's like you need to find out what works for you. And yes, there is a thing called types of learning. I sent the link in, it's pinned. So you guys go up to the pinned messages in lecture chat. You'll see it. So click the pinned messages. I put a link in there for what type of learner you are. It's just 20 questions. It's a simple one. Again, don't take it as a grain of salt. Don't live your whole life as that because your study habits can change. Everything can change, right? You can become better. I used to be, I told you, I was a mediocre student, became I would say, I did pretty well in college and even better in medical school. So I feel like, you can change how you do things. And like a good effective way of spaced repetition, I just posted a picture. Aiden had this in our PDF, but like as you see, like not only did he post like how like things usually start to unravel after 30 minutes, right? So if you stop studying and give yourself a 5 minute break after 25, 30 minutes, right? If you keep doing that over time, you're going to retain things 70 to 80% more than what you would by not. You know what I'm saying? So, like, let's say you were trying to study something at like the heart. Let's go back to the heart, right? So you're studying the heart, right? You do the chambers, you start going over the chambers, you start getting the names of the nodes, you start going all over the place. Boom, 30 minutes goes by, your alarm goes off, time to take a 5 minute break. You go down, get some water, stretch, whatever, get your mind, stop, don't even think about, cardiology or the heart or anything like that. Go to the next thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just, check your this is where I like to check to see if I missed any calls, any texts. I don't even have my phone next to me while I'm doing this lecture. So then, boom, you take a break and you come back after 5, 6, 7 minutes and you go back to it. And then almost like you start, so you start at 100% and then you start going down to about, 90. So then when you refresh, you're at like 99% and you go down to 74, then 98%, 73, after every single 30-minute session, because your brain starts to just lose focus after 30 minutes. It's a proven fact. There's science science based and evidence based practice, clinical things and trials that have been done. So yeah, give yourself time. So if you don't finish during those 25 minutes, okay, that's a great question. So for me, it's like I always love to finish what I'm doing. And I know sometimes like that's why like I will never start something like let's say I'm at the 24-minute mark and I'm watching a 20-minute video and I still have 6 minutes left. I will finish that 6 minute video. It's not going to kill you if you go over a few minutes. If you're going over 20, 30, 40 minutes, then yeah, you're gonna feel a lot more um lethargic, you're gonna feel tired, you're not gonna be able to retain as much. So for me, I always listen to I'm gonna put my Spotify playlist that I listen to when I you guys are gonna make fun of me because it's a jazz playlist, but I'm about to
Bro,
copy the link
I
and
love
send it in
jazz.
here.
Okay, I actually like. I was just
So
gonna say
yeah,
this. I listen to fucking jazz. Okay, this is great.
I
Wait,
listen to
but
smooth jazz when I study
dude,
because like
same,
it, honestly,
same here, bro. Same.
if you listen to it, like honestly, like you guys can, but like the thing is, don't listen to music with lyrics, right? Because if you listen to lyrics, you can remember lyrics. But if you just listen to soft music, for me, it helped a lot, right? I love this playlist. I will die by this playlist. Um, It's honestly helped me so much. I mean, check it out. It is the best playlist, honestly. You guys even just play it right now. It's super soft, super mellow, and I listen to it. It won't make you fall asleep either. It actually keeps me awake, and it's like almost like elevator music, right? And I've used it for I think 3 years now? Yeah, 3 years now. So yeah, like I'm just saying, like knowing uh what works for you. Again, it's not gonna work for everybody. Either you love jazz or you hate it. You like classical music. Just don't listen to instrumentals of songs, right? Whatever. Just don't listen to lyrical songs because then your mind is gonna start remembering lyrics, and you're not actually gonna be 100% focused on what you're studying, right? So that's what we try to do is, going back to, finishing what you want to do. So like just depending on how you are. If you're the type of person that can stop and then pick up where you were, perfect, right? But if you're not, like I'm not, I have to finish whatever I'm on because if I don't finish what I'm on, I know for a fact I have to like either go back a little bit to find out where I'm at, or I have to restart the whole thing. So it's okay if you go over, 5, 10, even 15 minutes, right? But I would say after, like, if you do go over 15 minutes, give yourself a 2 or 3 minutes extra of break. You know what I'm saying? So like if you end up studying for, instead of 25 minutes, you study for 40 minutes, give yourself a 10-minute break, right? And then go back to it, right? So give yourself a break, right? And let me get through this question real quick. Yeah, so classical music, anything is great. 25-minute sessions, there are a lot of overhead when I'm in transition between activities. Yeah, I mean, again, guys, this is not, this is just a bar, right? This is the bare minimum, right? You got to understand, like, if you can do a 2 hour session or 1 hour session, and then, that's, it works better for you. Again, it's different for everybody. I'm not telling you this is the only way, right? For me, I had to build up, right? Some people, yes, Zenith. Again, guys, Aiden is recording this. It will be on his YouTube. Thank you guys so much. But at the end of the day, everything is just a general. I'm telling you what worked for me, and I'm trying to help you guys because I've tried a lot of different types of studying. And yes, Pomodoro is in my way the best way of studying, because some people can like literally have a TV show, not Luther, but other people can have a TV show going on in the background, and they can study, or they can, do whatever. For me, it's like I like soft music. I like studying in a 25 and 5. I've gotten to a point where I'm doing 50 minutes 50 of studying and 10 minutes of a break. I've had to build up to that. I wasn't doing that. It took me 2 3 years to build up to that. So again, everyone is different. If you can study for 2 hours straight and not feel tired after that, kudos to you. But I'm saying this is for people that, I'm trying to tell you what I did, and what the bare minimum is, and what you can start out as. But Aiden, you have anything else you want to add in that? Aiden, I mean, Victory, SWAT. I didn't even realize you guys were here. If you guys have anything else, you know,
Oh, hi.
Hola, 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 hola. I
What
don't
hola,
was
know.
hola,
that?
hola.
Um,
I don't know, man.
yeah, I used to be really bad at studying when I was in high school. I'm 85% sure I have ADHD, only because it sucks because it's overdiagnosed. So lots of people are like, I couldn't study twice, so I got ADHD.
Gosh.
But for me, it's like sometimes like I would go into those hyper focused sessions type of things you get into, and it would be really bad. I'd wake up. It would be like a Saturday. I'm doing my programming thing outside of school. I'd wake up at maybe like 6 a.m. and then I would fall asleep at 2 a.m. the next day, and I would have spent the whole entire day in front of my computer. Maybe I would have eaten maybe once or twice, and time would go past so fucking fast, and I
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
even recognize whatsoever. And then my mom would come in, she'd be like, "Boy, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's time for breakfast." And she's like, "Well, you've been on your computer the entirety of the day. Do you wanna do something else with your life? Maybe? Huh?" I wouldn't know, or I just leave stuff until the really, really last minute. So I did that with my thesis twice,
Oh yeah.
where I had a few months to do it, and then I did it in a 72-hour straight sprint,
Wow.
where I'm
Wow.
like, you know what? Fuck it. 3 days. I woke up on Friday, 5 a.m., and then I went to sleep on Monday morning at like 10 a.m. And I just like I just stayed up throughout 3 fucking days. So don't do that, and
Of course.
moderate your time, and baby steps, and you'll be fine.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. So
uh,
I would say baby steps. So someone asked me, how do you retain everything you've learned? That's the thing. Like, once you start studying, especially when you go into a profession that is ever changing, like medicine, or even like someone said about pseudocode. So I know SWAT codes. I know it's some sort of program. I don't know a lot about pseudocode. I don't know a
Mhm.
lot about programming in general, but someone asked me, how do you go around learning it? I have no knowledge in that, but for me, when I retained everything I learned, so I'm gonna get into Anki. I can even do a whole nother. Um,
I think
I'll,
we're
I'll
gonna
even
have to
put it
make
down
that
here. Hold on.
separate because that's like a fuck, dude.
Yeah,
Anki is a
that's
whole
I
like
could do I
monster.
could do a coding related one.
Okay,
I get
that
it
could
a
be sick.
lot. Uh,
I
yeah.
want
I'm not gonna take over
I do want
your
to get back on track
section.
though, if that's cool.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
All right. So one thing that I have like as I researched, so this guy called Marty Lobdell did this lecture. Now it's on YouTube and it's called "Study Less, Study Smart." And a lot of this has been. I literally took like 5 pages of notes on, it. And I learned so much from it. So I want to like kind of break that down and stuff because honestly, people hate. Most people don't like studying, right? Like a lot of people are talking about this, right? saying like, "Oh, how do I love studying?" Well, why don't you love studying? Why don't you like learning in the first place? Because honestly, everyone likes to learn. Like that's why we watch TV to find out what the next thing happens. Or that's why we want to learn a new culture, try new foods, do new things. We love to learn. But right now we're not making it fun for ourselves. So we need to make it fun for ourselves. That's literally it. It's like creating a reward system with, for example, the breaks. So a lot of people were talking about like, hey, but Hamza said 90 minute 90-minute study session, right? Like why can't I just do a 90? If you can't do a 25-minute study session, how are you going to do a 90-minute? It's progressive overload in studying, my guy. Progressive overload is everything here. Like it's everyone knows about progressive overload. That's why I'm kind of using it. So, for example, you start off with 25-minute session, 5-minute break. That's it. You repeat it, and when you're consistent with that, maybe sometimes you go past 25 minutes. You go past 25 minutes, you go to 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And guess what? That's good. Right? So you go from 25 minutes,
Absolutely.
and now you're good. Now you do 30 minutes. You hit 30 minutes, 35 minutes. 35 minutes, 40, 45, 50. And then before you know it, you're at 60 minutes. You're doing 60-minute sessions, and you up the break. You're doing a 60-minute study session, fully concentrated, full output, full effort, and you get like a 15-minute break. Now compare that. Now compare that to, I'm gonna resend this, right? Compare that, which sounds a lot more enjoyable, right? You do 60 minutes, 15 minutes of walking outside, maybe touching grass, meditating, drinking some water, maybe you jam out to music. I don't know, whatever you do, right? Compare that to this. This is most of us when we study. We have to cram before an exam, and that's how it turns out. That's how it turns out, okay? So our goal is to not do that. Because if we do that, then obviously we're not going to like studying. No shit. So instead of doing that, let's make it enjoyable for ourselves. And now there's different types,
absolutely.
right? Pomodoro is like the main one we're talking about just because it's so simple to grasp, right? It's so simple to grasp that, where it's just like, oh, I just study for 25 minutes. If studying for 25 minutes is hard for you, start with 10 minutes, dude. It's okay. Yeah. There's nothing wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? 10 minutes. Study for 10 minutes. And then guess what? After that, maybe you just take a minute break and just say, let's go. I studied for 10 minutes. I made progress today. Boom. And then you study for another 10 minutes. Boom, I just made progress. Let's go. Give yourself a pat on the back. You know what I mean? Start like that. Because at the end of the day, we're all in it for the long game. We're all here long term. So whether it's starting at 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 minute, who gives a shit, man? Because at the end of the day, you're making progress towards your goals. So the rewards, I know you can definitely give a lot of examples for like rewards for studying. I'll give some of them as like maybe you could do a good 3-hour study session, right? You do your Pomodoro. After that, go hang out with friends. Go take a good nap, right? Maybe go catch up with friends and I don't know, you go to the movies or something, right? Reward yourself for doing good work. And don't reward yourself by eating a cake. Or go to the gym, bro. Hit a good 15-minute meditation session. You know what I mean? That's what's up. So I want you to give some examples for like studying and then moving on to like what sleep or how sleep is affected by studying is affected by sleep, because sleep is like so key.
Sleep is the most important thing you need in life. It's just as essential as water. But I was gonna cover 3 little quick things. So everyone was saying, hasn't Hamza say the Pomodoro technique doesn't work? Again, it probably didn't work for him. I'm just saying what worked for us, what has worked for many people in the past. It's not gonna work. I'm not saying it's guaranteed to work, but it's a good start to find out what you want, right? So another thing is like someone was like, how can I make studying fun? For me, I don't know if you guys know what the Krebs cycle is, but for me, I learned the Krebs cycle off of an acronym. The acronym is Can I Keep Selling Sex for Money Officer? So C, can citrate. I, isocitrate. K, alpha ketoglutarate. S, succinyl CoA. S, sucrinate. F, fumarate. M, malate. O, oxocentrate. So like you would not really remember that if you didn't have a fun acronym. Like what kind of acronym is Can I Keep Selling Sex for Money Officer, right? That's for me to remember the TCA cycle, right? So that's the thing is like you have to understand, like, make it fun, right? Like you can go left and right and try to find how am I going to make it fun? Make it fun for yourself, because at the end of the day, guys, I'm going to tell you something, and I'll even quote it. This is my quote. I'm going to trademark it. You are the only person that it has to make sense for, right? It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. If you can grasp it, if you can understand it, then that's all that matters, right? So if you're coming up with these crazy acronyms or these crazy ways of learning something, hey, if you can learn it and retain it, like I had a bunch of acronyms, a bunch of ways of learning, and people are like, "What the hell, John? Like, what are you doing?" And I'm just like, well, I know it. I'm remembering it and I'm applying it in my exams. I'm applying it in my, clinical, settings. So like, it works for me, right? And for people that are saying like, oh, I'm split with all these different types of like auditory, visual, and tactile um like learning styles, like then just try to find something. So you like to listen, right? So if it's split between all three, you listen, you like to see, and you like your hands on. So do all three, right? It's a lot more simple than you think. Like if you're a split like 30 30 30 or 35 35 30, so then, listen, look, and then do hands-on stuff. Like it's not that hard. Make it simple. Like don't overthink things. A lot of time people overthink things, and when you overthink things, time goes by. But when you actually are in a deep study session, time will literally go by so fast. You don't understand. And for me, it's like you want to read books effectively. I always want to, like I said, I always skim, right? I skim to just get a general broad idea of what I'm about to like read. Then I go into deep study. I tend to, highlight things. Most of the books I own, they're mine. Like I paid for them. So like I'll put like sticky notes. I'll put, highlight things. I'll write things off to the side. So, you know, take notes while you're reading. That way you're engaged. That's the most important thing about studying. You need to be engaged when studying. There's passive learning and then there's active learning, right? So passive learning, you're just skimming, you're kind of just like sitting in a lecture hall, someone's, teaching you. Active learning is when you actually are writing things down, you're taking notes, you're questioning things, you're, doing practice questions. You're actively trying to retain this information, right? So for me, um, Anime Doro. Yes. Oh my gosh. Someone said Anime Doro. Guys, yes. And like Aiden said, so like for me is like I would study for 6 to 8 hours, right? At my peak. And then after that, I'd go to the gym and then I'd come back and study like 4 more hours, right? And with Anime Doro, it's perfect because like when I built myself up to 45 minutes and I would take a 15-minute break, anime, when you take out the intro and the outro, it's about 15 minutes, right? So I would study for 45 minutes and I'd watch an episode of like Dragon Ball Super or something, or, you know, anything that has like a 15-minute episode when you take the first and the last, because like it kind of gave you like when I would watch Dragon Ball Super, it would kind of like make me like even my background is Super Saiyan God's Super Saiyan Goku. So like I'm not gonna get into that, but what I'm saying is like I love Dragon Ball Z. Like that was my childhood. I remember playing Budokai on the PS2, like all that stuff. So what I'm saying is try to find something that works for you. Anime Duro worked for me because like it gave me a reward that I could look forward to, right? I would study for 45 minutes nonstop, right? Wouldn't even think about it. But then once I was on my break, I didn't think about whatever I was studying. Boom, I'd watch anime, right? Watch an episode. As soon as the anime episode was done, all right, I'm back studying. Next episode of anime. And then the next thing you know, I've done 12 hours of that, right? I've done 12 45-minute sessions and 12 episodes of anime. So it's like I'm watching anime and staying on top of my anime, which was huge for me because I love anime. And then boom, like I'm going back to, studying, almost, 8 hours, a full day of studying, 12 sessions, and I was doing 8 hours of studying and 4 hours of break. Like it's amazing, right? So like you get to do both things. Like don't think, oh, I have to study, so I'm going to be suffering. No, you will be suffering if you don't have a plan. I always say write it down and make a plan, right? And when I say like I don't study past 11 p.m., you need to sleep. Like sleep is very important. Like if you cram, you're going to be on a never-ending cycle of cramming information, and it's never going to stick with you. You're always going to be on the like a cycle of, all right, I have to know all this stuff for tomorrow. Okay, I know it. Okay, I use it, and then boom, it's out of your memory, right? Because it was all in your short term. But you don't, after usually when you cram, you don't tend to look back on that information. So the whole point of spaced repetition is like the whole point of Anki. I'm always going to preach on Anki. The whole point of Anki is that, let's say I have a flashcard, right? And it says victory is blank, and like we could say sexy, right? And I would say in my head, like, oh, I don't know this, but I have an idea of what it could be. I'm gonna
Oh, it's
say,
too long.
handsome. Oh, it was sexy. So I'm gonna say I didn't get the flashcard, right? It's gonna show it to me again in 10 to 15 seconds. Then it'll come again, it'll say victory is what? And then I'll say, oh, it's sexy. I got it right. Okay. It won't show me the card again for 5 minutes, right? It won't show me the card again for 5 minutes. And then it'll come again. I'll be like, oh, I know this. It's victory sexy. Boom, it won't show me the card again for 20 minutes, then a day, then 2 days. But the card is always going to be there. Like you're always going to see it. That's what's great about Anki's space repetition software. Like it's always going to have the card in there. Even if you get it right 100 times, it's still going to be in the deck for you to see maybe a year down the road. I have someone who has their stuff down a year. Like you just have to know what you're doing, right? Um, So if you don't care about what the things you're learning, I don't know how to help you. Um, other than the fact that like there are useless classes that people take, like undergraduate classes like pre-med or things like you have to take like a history class or whatever to just fulfill like a thing. That's the whole point of making it interesting, right? Like I hated history. I didn't really care about history, but like for some reason I know so much about history. Um, but it's because I made it fun, right? Like I would watch like cool videos about it. I would watch like, if I was watching something on the Cold War and we were studying the Cold War in our world studies class, I would watch like funny videos over the Cold War, like Cold War Simplified or something like that, right? So just
Oh,
make it
yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
you need to understand, like you have to make it interesting for yourself. You can't go into something just like if you're going into like if you're trying to get something to eat, right? You know, you're not gonna go into getting something to eat being so full that you feel bloated and you're gonna explode. No, you're gonna go when you're hungry, right? So how are you going to make yourself hungry? Maybe you work out. Maybe you're not eating for a few hours. Maybe you're going through a lot of things to where you're going to be hungry, right? So go into the same way of studying. Like you want to make sure that you know you're going to enjoy it, right? You have the mental capacity to do it. If you don't have the mental capacity, you can burn out. Like I'm not saying burnout is not a thing, even if you do all the things we're telling you. Take a day off, right? Take a break. You know what I'm saying? If you need to. I think that Pomodoro can not really prevent a flow state. Someone asked Aiden if Pomodoro can prevent a flow state. It just depends what type of learner you are, right? So if you are someone that doesn't like to like leave something, like you want to finish whatever topic you're on, then yeah, I feel like it could. But the whole point is you're only taking a 5 to 10 minute break max. Like, and I was taking 15 and I was still getting back to it, right? The whole point is like you were always going back. Like it's not like, oh, I'm only going to study for even if you're doing the minimum, like studying for 10 to 15 minutes and then you're taking a 5 minute break, you're still going back after 5 minutes. It's not like I'm just going to study 10 or 15 minutes, then I'm not going to go back to it, right? You're going to go back to it. So I don't think it'll prevent a flow state, to be honest with you. um but let me see if there's any other questions. Aiden, you can take
Oh, all
over.
right,
Dragon
for
Ball
sure, for
lecture.
sure. I want to say so. There's a lot of different ways to study, right? As we said, talked about, and Dr. John talked about. There is everyone learns differently. Like that's just facts, right? So remember to find out what works for you. Right? If I did this actually. I did what what John did at one point where I would watch anime in between my sessions, like just work sessions. Like let's say I'd work on my business or something, and I do a Pomodoro session for that because you don't have to limit it. So or that's a good one. That's a good one. You literally do like a 30-minute session. You watch the 5 minutes of an unfiltered video. You go back, you get some work done. Boom, another 5 minutes. Yo, anything, right? But it's a reward, right? You're rewarding yourself, and that makes it fun, right? That makes it interesting because the whole point of it is to make it interesting. So something that I'm gonna link a video that I highly recommend you watch because it's just so goaded is called. Let me. It I think it's called comprehensible input, which is one of the best ways to learn. Best ways to learn in general. So I'm going to find the video and then pull it up. Damn, why can't I find it, bro? Can you find? Hold up. Oh, I got it. I got it.
Okay, I was gonna say when you open up that link, Anki, like it literally, like the front page literally says powerful, intelligent flashcards. Remembering things just became easier. When I tell you, you will literally remember. The good thing about it, guys, is Anki. Like there are Anki decks about everything, right? You can do. I mean, for me, of course, like there's the Miles Down deck for like the MCAT. There's the On King deck for step 1 and step 2, which is like a god for like medical school. But like what I'm saying is like there are so many pre-made decks, right? So you can create your own, right? Which will even be better for you because you're creating your own deck. So you're studying things that's like honestly the best thing, but it's very time consuming. So what I do is I download decks and I go through the decks just to like, learn the information. Then I'll go back and I'll do them again. Because honestly, you shouldn't be spending more than 3 to 6 seconds on any card, right? Because if it takes you more than 6 seconds, you don't know it, right? So if it takes me more than 6 seconds, I literally just click, bad, like I don't know it at all, and it'll show it again in like 15, 20 seconds, and then boom, I'll get it. And you'll always remember it, right? um Is 8 hours too much of studying? No, just depending on what you're doing. If you were going into medicine, 8 hours is a normal day. I promise you. 8 hours is a normal day for like the first like 2 years of, you know, no Anki Dex, not.
All right, let's.
Uh,
All right, let's.
yeah.
Boys in the chat. Like, I know we're having fun here. We're having a good time, right? But let's stick to the point of the lecture. You know what I mean? Because I want to get this information to you guys, and John wants to too, right?
Yeah.
So, we all have fun. That's the point, right? We all have fun here. We have a good time. But remember, this is important. This stuff is important, right? You came here for a reason, right? We're not here, even though it's important, to talk about John's voice. It's not the most important. That's not the priority, okay? So I'm gonna let Sadie continue, and then we're gonna move on to a method that is called the Feldman model, which is so
Yes.
powerful, so powerful. So continue.
Got you. So I'm gonna go into like we've already gone into rewarding yourself, right? Um, see, look, guys, that is amazing. Cookie, thank you so much. That is amazing. Wow. Like, look at him. Cookie is that is amazing. Thank you so much, Cookie, for creating that. Um, yeah. So reward yourself, right? And I'm gonna take hold on before I continue. I'm taking a snippet of that. That is amazing. Uh, we're not even close to being done. That's what's crazy. Save. Okay. So we already went through rewarding yourself, right? So you're rewarding yourself, you're sleeping well. I would say at the age of, your guys' age, anywhere from 12 to 19, 20, you should be sleeping at least 6 hours, at least, at least. I mean, if you're younger than 18, I would say anywhere to eight minimum, right? Um, to master, like studying, again, it's trial and error, right? You're not gonna get it the first try, right? So you need to understand, um, you're gonna it's not everything is gonna work for you. Like everything we're saying is not gonna work for you, but that's the whole point. Is when you're young, you have the opportunity to try it, right? Before you go into something bigger like medicine or law or pharmacy or anything that might cause you to actually need to go into like a you know study mode, right? So remember to when you're studying, to actively study. There's passive and then there's active, right? So not only learn the concepts that you're studying and not just the facts. Don't memorize things. Like for me, like when I was a kid, my dad made me memorize poems. I know it was really messed up, right? My dad is making his son memorize poems. But for me, I would say like, hold on, I'm gonna pin this pin. Oh, it's already pinned. Sweet, dope. What I'm saying is, so one of the poems my dad made me learn is called "See It Through" by Edgar Albert Guest, right? So the last stanza of it says, "Even hope may seem but futile when troubles your beset." So even hope may seem like there's no such thing as hope. Hope isn't even real, right? But remember you are facing just what other men have met. You may fail, but fall still fighting. Don't give up whatever you do. Eyes front, head high to the finish. See it through. So I would just say these poems back and forth and I would just memorize them, but I didn't really understand. I didn't internalize on it, right? Internalize on what you're studying because that last stanza of that poem literally says like you're only meeting what other people have met. Like if Victory wants to become a professional sprinter, you know, Usain Bolt's he's done a lot of things first, right? If I want to become a physician, I want to do this, I want to do that. I want to become an attending. There are people that have already done what I've done. They've been in my shoes. So why can't I do it? Put your mindset into that. There are people that have already done. Of course, there's a lot of room for firsts, right? A first for everything. But you got to understand, like, you're only meeting what other people have met, right? So don't stress yourself out too much because if someone has already done what you're going through, that should alleviate a lot of stress off of you, right? So remember to always reinforce concepts, right? For me is I would if I for me this is what I would do. I'd read my book, I would do notes, I would, write off to the side, highlight. Then I would do like an Anki deck. I'd watch a few videos. Then I would do practice questions. It's always good to test your knowledge, right? You want to test your knowledge on what you've just learned to see if you retained it. And practice questions, honestly, are the best way of learning because you're testing yourself to a point where you need to know it to know what you're, learning, right? So you need to understand that the first 20 to 30 minutes is the peak time of studying, right? So then when you take your break after 20, 25, 30 minutes, you take a 5-minute break. you can build yourself up. I'm just saying, when you first start, it's usually 20 to 30 minutes. You take that 5 minute break, you're not going to be you're not going to be at 100%. You might be at 95 or 94% when you take that 5 minute break, but it's better than going to continue to study being at like 80% or 70%. Remember, Aiden is going to go into it, but don't just take notes in class, because there's a difference between typing your notes and writing your notes. I prefer writing them just because like it actually makes me know what I'm writing, and I actually have to know. Like, I used to type my notes in undergrad because it was faster, and I could literally write exactly, like type exactly what the professor was saying, and I got everything down, but I'd literally have to go through the entire thing over again to realize what I just typed, right? So you got to understand, like, notes are great. Do not hate on I do not hate on notes. It's just notes can be very time consuming. That's why, like, when I do Anki, I do pre-made decks. So I literally download the deck from Anki and I literally study from it, right? And um Aiden is going to go over the Feldman model. So for me, I've used this before. Um, teaching is one of the best ways of learning if you're teaching it to someone. So he'll go into that a little bit, because I know I'm going to probably put in my 2 cents, but Aiden's going to tell you guys about that. Teaching is one of the best ways of learning, because you're kind of not only projecting it to someone else, you have to know what you're saying, right? So whatever you're speaking it, that's why teachers often are really good at what they teach, right? Because they're teaching it. So, but yeah, go ahead. I was about to say Feynman. Yeah, I was gonna say Feyman, but I was like Feldman. Yeah, I was like, what? Chill, 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 chill. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Will I get zooed if I get 15? I hope not. I'm gonna delete it just in case. Like, I'll never get zooed. I'm just playing around. Yeah. Oh yeah. Toxic. Yeah.
Nah, bro. I have to comment
Jeffrey
on
this
that. What
man.
the
Hold on.
fuck?
Jeffrey that man.
Nah.
Jeffrey that man. Oh
I am
my
so
god.
fucked. Yeah.
Uh oh. Mike went out. No. Oh, okay. I was like, no. With the what? What'd you say, Wes? Textbooks. God bless it. So for me, most of my textbooks, I had were ebooks. But I did end up buying the actual textbook. And like I said, you can do passive learning, which is literally just reading, but you're only going to retain so much, right? So I told you what helps with me is I would always skim, right? Just to get a general broad idea of what I'm about to be reading, right? It's always good to just get your mind in the right area of what you're actually going to do. Um, but for myself, I would always have a pen and a highlighter next to me. It used to be a pencil, but I feel like pen, you kind of just like it's more permanent. Um, can't really erase pen. If you use like I have like these G2 pens, so like I can't really erase a pen. So for me, it's like I'd always write notes, or I'd always question myself, and I'm like, okay, well, what does this lead to, or what can I do with this, or how is this going to affect this? And I'd always just write it down when I found out. And honestly, like when you actively learn and you actively study, you honestly not only retain more, but you actually will be able to build up on other topics better, right? Um, all right, Saad. Have a good walk, man. Nice meeting you too. We appreciate you, but yeah. So like at the end of the day, um, you should always want to be actively learning. And I can do a different lecture on active versus passive learning. I actually will probably later in like early April probably. But like once mid-April hits till about end of July, I'm gonna be in the in the trenches. So, but yeah. So with active studying and active, My mind just went blank. But yeah, when you're reading a textbook, honestly, like reading a textbook is very boring. I'm not gonna lie. Like, and they always say like, you know, don't highlight the whole page, which is true. And like I said, like the first and last sentence of any paragraph is usually the most important. The first sentence is introducing you to whatever topic you're doing, and the last sentence is kind of like ending it. So you have your thesis statement, which is usually the first sentence. Then you have the actual body of the paragraph that's describing it. So I'd always go, it's like high yield, low yield, high yield, right? So it's kind of like high yield, telling you what it is, what it's supposed to do, whatever. Then the lower yield stuff, which is harder to really retain and remember in the middle. And then you have the higher yield, basically putting it all together, right? Um, Not I write with charcoal. But what I'm saying is you have to understand that you're only going to
Broke my mic.
actively learn if you are in the right mindset. If you're not in the right mindset, like if you're just, going through the motions, you're not going to make it fun for yourself. I've always told you um, that, you're not going to enjoy it unless you make it fun for yourself. Like if only you were understanding it, but it's still making sense in your head and you're getting things right and it's, clicking for you, then do it that way, right? How would someone study for calc or chem? I took calc 1 and 2 and OChem, Gen Chem, Biochem. Um, yeah, at the end of the day, like I'm going to tell you, repetitions is everything. It doesn't matter what you do in life, right? Repetitions is everything. So with calculus and especially chemistry, when you're doing like nomenclature, or if you're doing like OChem and you're doing NMR spectros, man,
All good,
my
bro.
tongue is not working. Um, spectro. You know what? I'm gonna.
You want me to move on? I got you.
No, 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 no.
No?
I'm gonna get this right.
Oh, okay.
Spectroscopy. Boom. Bam.
Adonis, yo,
Thank
yo,
you
give it,
guys.
yo, drop
Thank
this
you.
man an Adonis
Adonis.
right now. Hold on, hold on.
Spectroscopy. Thank you guys. Thank you. So that's more of like OChem 2 stuff. Um, what I'm saying is like no matter what you do, it's always about repetitions. Like they always say like you never pay someone for like let's say it takes me only 30 minutes to, fix a pipe in your okay, that's a bad one. You guys are gonna turn that around. But I'm saying let's say it takes me 30 minutes to do a job, right? So it takes me 30 minutes to do a job. You're not paying me for the 30 minutes. You're paying me for how long it took me to learn it, right? So you're all not fix my pipe any day. But what I'm saying is you got to understand like it's all about repetitions. Like if whether you're in the weight room, whether you're studying, whether you're, you know, eating, everything is like repetitions, especially like when you're like trying to build up. It's you're not gonna run a marathon the first day. You're not gonna study for 5 hours straight the first day. You have to build up, right? And it's only gonna get better and easier with repetitions. So you need to understand that um, you need to understand that repetitions are gonna help in any facet. It doesn't matter if it is like oh, he's so close to Jeffrey, dude. He's so close to Yo. Oh my god, not let's faff together, guys. Oh my
I think we just
god.
gotta
Hold on.
close.
Hey,
We
you
just
gotta
gotta
take over.
close
You
down
gotta
the
take
chat,
over,
bro.
dude.
We just gotta close the chat, bro. Like,
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I probably should. Okay, I'm gonna close the chat. So yeah, always study with purpose, right? Everything you do in life, do it with purpose. Do it with enthusiasm. When I was told, when I first started, college, they're like, do what you're told, do it with enthusiasm, and shut the fuck up. That's literally how I've done life. you know, Always come enthused, always come with that energy, that you know,
he's
no
spitting.
one's going to tell me how to do things. I got to do it my way. Um, I mean, of course, take constructive criticism, but I always walk around with, I need to like the only person that's going to have my back is me, right? So like there's no one else that's going to do things for me. No one else is going to study 8 hours for you, right? No one else is going to take that exam for you. No one else is going to do things for you in life other than yourself. So the faster you get to that mentality, the better it's going to be for you. And honestly, the more, drive you're going to have. Drive is honestly just a feeling, just like motivation is, just like um, any emotion. Like you got to understand, like you control it. I know sometimes it's hard to control, but once you get that control, you can do anything, right? But yeah, anything else you got to say, Aiden?
Yes, there is one thing I missed that I wanted to say was like really, really important, and you can kind of just do it anywhere you want. I call it the study lamp. It's Marty Lobdell talks about it. I'll link his lecture after. It's like an hour on YouTube. But the study lamp essentially is a psychological and physical switch telling your brain, okay, it's time to study. It's time to get shit done. kind of like how your environment literally dictates if you're going to get work done or not. The study lamp, you can use it in the same sense where, let's say, just grab a random lamp, bro. Random lamp, and be like, okay, when I turn this lamp on, I am studying. And then when this lamp is off, I am done studying. What's that going to do is it's going to tell your brain when to study and when you're not studying. So if you're just like fucking around or something and just, on your computer, or I don't know, you just doing something else besides studying, then don't use the lamp. Don't use it. Have this lamp solely for studying, getting work done. That's it. And what it's going to do is literally work your brain. It's going to trick your brain into getting more work done. That's it. That's literally all it does. It's like, think of like when you turn on the lights in your room, where you're like, oh, the light's on, I'm awake now. Kind of like how if the lights are off in your room and you're sleeping, that's when you sleep, bro. You don't have the lights on when you're sleeping. But with a study lamp, your brain's like, okay, this is time to study. You are telling yourself you want to study. So do that instead. That's what I highly recommend, because it's really easy to do. You can get a random lamp off like Craigslist, bro. Just pick one up off the street. It doesn't even matter. If you want to, use your flashlight on your phone or something. You know what I mean? But whatever it might be, use that, because it's actually really, really good. If I can link the study, then I will. But a study showed that literally using a study lamp increased people's GPA by a whole point, bro. I kid you not. And people are saying in the chat they have used it before, so I'm just saying that goes to show. But yeah, and for this, yeah, you could turn off the study lamp during the break. Yeah, so you study for 25 minutes, and then you turn off that lamp. You're like, okay, I get to relax for 5 minutes. Let's do a little meditation. You turn it back on. Let's go. Because then your brain is switching on and off. You remember, as John said, when you're on that break, you're not thinking about studying. That break is for you to enjoy. So you're not thinking about, oh shit, you know what I mean? Because if that lamp is on while you're studying, then your brain's not there. Your brain's gonna be like, okay, well, the lamp's still on, so I should be getting some work done. But instead, take that 5 minutes and chill. And just chill, relax, do what you want. As we said, there's a bunch of different things you can do. Right? So study lamp. I'm gonna say it again. Area is very, very key. But deadass, a lamp, bro, it's actually so good. Like, I started using it for the past few months. It's fucking amazing. So, small thing you can implement. Literally a small thing. You might not even realize how much of a difference it makes until you start getting more work done.
In and out.
Oh, I keep going in and out?
Mm-hmm.
All right, hold up. Let me see if I can fix that for you. All right, am I good now, Chief?
No, you're great, man.
All right. So, end of the day, right? There's a lot of things you can do to improve studying, right? Making it enjoyable, rewarding yourself, study area, going to a cafe, listening to, music with no lyrics, for example. Some people don't listen to music. It's all good, right? But it's just another way, another tactic. There's so many things you can do. Pomodoro, deep work, Anki, comprehensible input, study groups. Study with other people who, want to learn the same thing. If you're all in the same physics class, be like, hey, after school, let's like study or some shit. Or like, I don't know, you set up a FaceTime or something. Like, try everything, because you never know. You never know what's going to really work for you, right? Maybe it's talking to the chair for 10 minutes after you do your study session. And the next day you go back to school and you know everything. You understand everything. It's crazy. Because when you know stuff and when you like start to actually like reap the benefits of studying properly, it feels amazing. It actually it feels good to know what you're talking about. Talking to the chair, I'm talking about the Feynman model, where if you have no one to talk to and teach the concept or facts that you've learned, then talk to an empty chair, bro. It's a cheat code. This lecture is a cheat code for you guys. This whole server is a cheat code. You know what I mean? So, yeah, listen to right. Could you explain study lamp again? I got you. I'll go a little bit quick, just for time's sake. But study lamp is literally a physical lamp that psychologically tricks your brain into getting work done. Where when you turn on that lamp, you're getting work done. You turn it off, you're done. So 30 minutes, you have that lamp on, you're getting work for 30 minutes. And then you turn it off, boom, you're done. That's it. So you take a 5-minute break, you turn the lamp back on, boom, you get to work. Turn it off, you're done. All right, so I think we've covered a lot. We've done a lot. And I think we've kind of overloaded people's brains. There's a lot of notes, a lot of things to go over. Is there anything you want to bring up, Sadie?
Yeah, I would just say you're not gonna elevate and you're not gonna um, uplift yourself or inspire yourself or others if you don't make yourself uncomfortable, right? So you have to be uncomfortable and you have to put yourself in a situation because only uncomfortability, I don't even know that's a real word, but I'm going to make it a word. Uncomfortability brings growth, right? So you're not going to grow unless you become uncomfortable. And you have to put yourself, just like he said, Pavlov's dog, you have to put yourself in an environment to where you have to be triggered into a point where you need to level up, right? You need to better yourself off. And until you put yourself in a point where your back is against the wall, that's the point where you're going to be growing the most, right? Because a lot of people are afraid of failing, right? Failing an exam, failing a quiz, failing just in general in life and anything, right? So you got to understand that failing is a part of life, right? Just even if you put all these into, action, you study, you do everything that we tell you to do, and you still aren't doing well, like it's not a guarantee, right? You still have to put in the work. You still have to, do what you need to do, but don't lie to anyone. But you're the only person you're lying to is yourself, right? The only person you're playing is yourself. You only know how much work you're putting in, and if you aren't putting in the work, then there's nothing that we can do to help, right? Because even if you tell us that you're putting in the work and you actually aren't, and you're kind of just like doing the bare minimum, it's going to show, right? So you need to understand, like, eh, do the work, especially when you don't feel like it, even though Hamza says it all the time, genuinely. Like, you need to do the work even when you feel like it, because when you rely on things like motivation or doing things out of happiness, you're going to be on an endless roller coaster, right? Because happiness is a way of life, it's not a destination. I'm going to tell you this right now. Like if you want to live life, y'all are like 15, 16, 17, 18, even younger than that. If y'all think that you're going to be happy, that's the destination. It's not the destination, I promise you. You need to understand that happiness is a way of life, right? So you can go through life being happy, you know, and you can do things in life like your job or whatever you're doing in life that makes you happy. That's a way of life, right? It should never be a destination. And you should never rely on motivation to study or work out or do anything because, motivation is going to be lacking. You have to just wake up and do it day by day. Some days you're going to be motivated, some days you're not. Many days you're going to be burnt out, but find the happy medium and when you have to not only study but put in the work.
Facts. Facts, bro. Yeah, man. It's
Okay.
not about. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I need motivation to do this. I need motivation to do that." With honestly, that's a whole nother lecture topic. That I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
like how motivation is stupid. Fuck motivation, man. Because if you think that you're going to get up and go to the gym every single day based on motivation, you are wrong. Like, and if you think you're gonna study every day from motivation, nah. And maybe that's just my opinion, but in reality, you need to actually want it. You need to want to
Mm-hmm.
study, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do you want to study? Like, actually, say it in the chat. Why do you study, or why do you come to this lecture? Right? I think we talked about it before, right? A lot of people said procrastination, right? But why do you want to study in the first place? You want to study. I love it. I love it, bro.
Yeah, these are all great, guys.
Yeah, man.
I want to smarter. Ah.
I love that, bro. To have something to strive for, to improve myself. Yeah, man. If you go to every study session with like, this is why I'm studying. I'm studying to improve, to grow, to get better. I'm studying so I can crush the final exam, so I can be like, God damn, I aced that. That was easy. Boom. Yeah, make your family. Yeah, bro. Make my brown mama proud, bro. that, that's some inspiration right there. Yeah, but that's purpose. Don't be like, oh yeah, my mom says she's gonna beat me up if I don't do good, because that's just fear. Fear of not doing stuff. Fear of not getting the grade you want.
True. True.
So
I
honestly,
would say, guys. Oh, well, what?
yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up the lecture here, but we are going to open up
Mhm.
for questions for a little bit because I know people did have questions.
Oh,
Aggro,
yeah.
if you have
So
any
you can
questions,
end recording. Yeah, if you can end recording now, and we
I
can go
got
through
you.
questions.
Got you. To the boys listening to the lecture on YouTube, go subscribe. If you're not, literally don't know what you're doing. This value is insane. The content we provide here is crazy, and